By 9 p.m. that night, I was silently crying in our bed, watching our TV show. Cooper was just petting my hair. I think it's going to be okay. I knew it was going to be okay, but I had the aha moment of, I think I have to put boundaries to myself around having fun and also around better management of the allocation of my spoons and energy going forward. Hello and welcome back to another week of Calling in Sick. I'm your host, Alex Voldison. Guys, back-to-back solo podcast. Who is she? TLDR, I'm pretty sure my mental health is just in a better place. I lean on guest episodes and St. Cooper episodes when I'm not feeling my very best because it's kind of hard to do a solo ep when you're not feeling good. But we are back, baby! Why? I don't know. I'm not going to dwell on that. I probably am. I already have. I know why. I'm taking a break. I'm on sabbatical from consulting, and all I'm focusing on, in no particular order, is have a little bit more fun, indulge in life, double down on functional medicine alongside my Western medicine and all of the holistic wellness things that I do on the side, and go full tilt on everything I've been creating, which is my content creation, podcasting, and my secret, not so secret app that I've been building for the last 6 months. So y'all know me pretty well by this point. I love to preach 80-20. Do I follow that? In some things, yes, very, very well. And in other things, fuck no, horribly. I'm 0-100 on them. And last week was proof in the pudding that I am a very much 0-100 person if I'm not careful or if I don't put proper boundaries up. So last week we talked about indulging in life and fun, why it's important, why we struggle with it, and how to actually do it. Well, this week I'm putting a little asterisk next to that and saying within reason and with boundaries. But quick housekeeping before we dive into more of that, because I have a lot to say on this topic. If you are loving Calling in Sick and want to help this platform out, liking content, commenting on content is amazing. Thank you guys so much for doing that. If you go and subscribe and follow, even better. And if you want to leave a rating, 5 stars out of 5 maybe even, and a comment on Spotify or Apple and YouTube, that would mean the world. Those things really do help push the podcast out and get to the right people. And I have a dream and a vision of this community being full and leaning on each other for so many things, and I'm just so appreciative of each and every single one of you that has been along for this ride so far and has helped me bring this vision to life. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. And because I love you guys so much, I have some fun picks for you guys this week. So, pick number 1 is the detox market. If you follow me on social, you might have heard me talk about it before. It's kind of like Ulta or Sephora, but everything that is sold on that platform and brand is non-toxic and clean, and not just like the US standards for what's non-toxic and clean, but genuinely parallel to European standards for clean skincare. So you can save your spoons, not have to do the extra research to double check that this will be good for you or good for your sensitive skin. It is. And happy shopping. I have a discount code for you, Alex Wild Detox 15. That is ALEXWILD Detox 15. Link in the description below. And my second pick of the week is an amazing skincare brand called Tower 28. They have a pretty epic social media branding presence, so you might have heard of them, but they're newer in nature. They have this SOS rescue line that I am obsessed with. There's a spray, there's a face wash, there's moisturizer, and it has made my skin so happy. I'm transitioning out of my winter, spring kind of heavier moisturizers that are really thick and help with hydration locking in, to my lighter summer moisturizers that do well with sweat and humidity. And Tower 28 totally passes the vibe check on that. Link in the description below. I am working on a discount code for you guys. Now let's get into it and talk about the asterisk that should come after my suggestion to grab life by the helms and go forward, have fun. So we all know the spoon theory. We have a finite number of spoons every single day, and we have to budget them accordingly for each of the different kind of pillars in our life. Work, health, relationships, fun/self. Now, last week I was preaching we deserve to have fun, we need to have fun, fuck the guilt that comes with having fun, let's just go do it. I should have thought through the impact to the other pillars. that perhaps I needed to change my allocation, and not to be too much of a finance girly, but maybe I needed to change my allocation strategy of my budgeting of spoons for all of those different categories, because I kept everything consistent and then just went fucking full tilt on the fun scale. And it was so worth it and so much fun, but oh, did I end up in Spoonie jail so badly on Sunday night. I felt like ass. At one point, I was laying in bed, just silently sobbing. Sweet St. Cooper was giving me hand scratchies, and he just said, "It's going to be okay, honey. I'm so sorry. I should have helped keep you in check," and kind of had a chuckle about that because it's kind of what he always does. He has to keep his girl in check because I will overdo it 10 times out of 10, honestly. And I love that St. Coop helps keep me in check with all that stuff. Left to my own devices, oof, it would be scary. But before I get into the fun things I did, let me tell you a little bit about the other areas of my life. So, you guys know I have a rule of thumb, no more than 5 medical anythings in 1 week. Last week, I maxed it out. I hit all 5. The best one that I had was my functional medicine appointment where we went over all the different testing that had come back. Good news, it looks better than it did a few years ago. Bad news, my hormones are very dysregulated. I have like 0 serotonin and a plethora of dopamine, which is worrisome, but also incredibly validating because it helps explain why I have felt so on edge, so anxious, so hypervigilant, so depressed, so mood swingy for the last couple months. It also is great because functional medicine gets to the root cause. Anything we do in functional medicine is to get to the starting point of that chain reaction and make adjustments so that things can flow as they're supposed to. So I'm really excited that I'm on sabbatical right now because that means I can put more time and effort towards getting my body functioning to a better place, and I know it can because it has before. On a Western medicine front, we're making a few more tweaks to the IVIG schedule. We're going to try to get down to 3 days a week instead of 4 days a week every 5 weeks. It's just, a lot when you have to get 4 IVs in a row. It eats up your entire week. So if I can do it in 3 days, that would be pretty phenomenal. It's less than half of the week, but not this time. It'll be next time. The gating item is I cannot have any infusion reactions this week. And if I pass the vibe checks on that, then we can go full send on to only 3 infusions every 5 weeks. And I'm back in therapy, which is great. And I'm starting trauma therapy next week. The stars have not been aligning. I was supposed to start like 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, but there were scheduling conflicts, there were miscommunications, and somehow, some way, it's now next week. But I am not putting any pressure on myself or shame on myself about that because I truly believe in divine timing. And for some reason, I just was not supposed to start earlier, but I am supposed to start next week. And I'm honestly looking forward to it because I finally feel kind of steady again. So I can go into this with a goal and clear-minded versus being in a state of turmoil and having lots of ups and downs, which might make trauma therapy a little bit harder to palate. Who knows? Maybe I'm overthinking it. I probably am, knowing me, but that's where my head's at. And you heard me say it, but I am taking a sabbatical from consulting right now. Y'all know I am both religious and spiritual. So I have been praying for some signs of what direction am I supposed to be going with my life right now? Where should I be spending my energy, my spoons, my efforts? And it seems like God, the universe, keeps pointing towards content creating and podcasting in my app. I've had so many pinch me, what the actual fuck is this real life moments recently in that space. And I know that that is the sign to keep on going. So here's to me making more content, quality content. The podcast continuing to podcast. I'm excited to start working with more brands. We're actually looking for a podcast sponsor for Calling in Sick. So if you guys know anybody that wants to sponsor the podcast, send them our way. We're looking, we're open, and we're excited to meet some cool partners. And then my not so secret app, the branding is almost done. I'm so excited. This has been a dream for 2 years in the making that I've been able to actually start building 6 months ago. And we will flash the branding when we have it, but you guys are going to love this space. It is a place that brings community and resources together. We meet you wherever you are in your journey, and you tell us which direction you want to go to, and we are your accountability buddy. We're your partner in crime, and we help you get from A to B. You guys are going to love this space because it is built for you by a bunch of people like you. And when I get into these mind spaces of I've got to get our house nested a little bit better, I go full tilt. I know, shocking. To the point where even yesterday, after my 4.5 hour, 5 hour IVIG infusion day, I decided it was the most perfect time to clean and organize our coffee station in our house. To which Cooper told me, please don't do that, please go rest. And I then sneakily and thought I was being very quiet. But, and I said, of course, yes. But I was sneaky and quiet and tried to do it anyway. I obviously did not pull the wool over his eyes. He knew I was doing that, but he knows me. He knows me well, and he knew I was going to do it anyway. And boy, does that coffee station look so nice right now. Was drinking my coffee this morning, just looking at it, so proud of myself. So anyway, I'm trying to chunk up the house and do little tasks every single day so that it's not overwhelming, and by the end of July, it's at the place where I want it to be. Because this baby's going on camera. And that's all I can say about that for now. So all that said and done, I think it's pretty clear that I put zero boundaries around work or medical things last week. And had that been only work or medical, I think I would have been fine. But because I dove in and said, let's indulge in life and have some fun, I got a bit over my bridges. Britches? I think it's britches. We traveled. We got back from travel. I had a 1-day turnaround, and then we went to the Alex Warren concert, which was amazing, amazing, amazing. My favorite part about this concert, besides Alex Warren being one of the best entertainers I've ever seen live, was the ADA setting and accommodations that Stubbs Theater had in Austin, Texas. Stubbs is super cool. It's an indoor-outdoor smaller venue downtown attached to their very beloved barbecue restaurant, food place, lol. But their setup for ADA makes me think that they must have worked with somebody or they have a teammate that is in the ADA space because they had thought through everything and were fiercely protective of the people in the space, which I thought was really cool. It actually made me think, wow, I would love to work with different brands, hotels, airlines, what have you, and help them navigate best supporting people with chronic illnesses, invisible disabilities, everything underneath the sun. So put that on my vision board. My mom's going to listen to this and say, Alexandra, Lee Kane, no more on your plate. Cooper is going to double down on that. My family is going to disown me. I'm just kidding. They all know I'm like this. They will be annoyed but also laugh and then love me anyway. Anywho, long-winded way to say the accommodations were amazing. Cooper sent one email requesting ADA for us. They were hyper responsive. When we got there, they met us. We had a whole different line that we went through. They walked us to our seating area. The ADA seating at Stubbs is in the VIP section. If this is the stage, it's like right here, but on the second level. So you're looking down directly into the stage. Perfect view of Alex Warren. I have terrible vision. I was wearing my contacts, but I could have probably gone to the concert not wearing my glasses and still had been able to see maybe a little bit, which would have been really cool. Because their accommodations were so amazing, I now have renewed hope and excitement to go do more things like this, go to concerts or events in hopes that the ADA setup is on par with that at Stubbs. And if it's not, then put it on my list of companies I could work with, I guess. At the end of the concert, Cooper was just in his happy space. He was vibing. He was vibing so much, he thought we should go to dinner afterwards, downtown Austin. And I said, hell no, I'm out of spoons, we've got to go home. To which he laughed and he said, yeah, that actually sounds like a better idea. It is a school night. And so we went home, ate some snackies, watched our TV show, and went to sleep. And I was so proud of myself for having that boundary. Well, the fun continued. On Saturday morning, Cooper and I got to go to Ottine Mineral Springs outside of Lewing, Texas, which I recently learned is called Lewing, not Lulling, Texas. I had reached out to Ottine when I saw that they had reopened and said I would love to come visit, make some content for you guys, and spend the day seeing your facility. And they said yes, which was a pinch me moment because I can't believe I get to do that now with my life. It's so exciting. So Cooper and I packed up the car. It was an hour-long drive, and we had so much fun. We were listening to music. We were laughing. We were looking at the beautiful cattle ranches that were everywhere. It made me miss Indiana and home so much. I love my cows. Speaking of which, tangent, Cooper and I are doing another thing like this, not this weekend, but the next weekend. We're going to Milk and Honey Ranch and doing a snuggle party with miniature and baby cow. I'm so excited. It's literally my dream come true. Okay, now back to the main story. We get to Ottine. They have a golf cart that takes you from the parking lot area to the check-in desk. We check in. They give you towels. Then we went and got a tour of the property. And on that tour, we learned about the history of Ottine Mineral Springs, which I had not looked up before, and I was blown away, and it made the whole experience that much cooler. So back in the 1930s, this medical foundation purchased the land, and they created a hospital for children battling polio. They knew the mineral springs had some healing properties, and that was integrated into the treatment regimens and plans for these children. Also, Ottine Mineral Springs was one of the first desegregated medical facilities in Texas. So any child with any background, ethnicity, ability, what have you, could come to the mineral springs for healing. Now, over time, the mineral springs got a little bit run down. The polio epidemic, ended, so the hospital became a moot point. But just this last year, the property was purchased by a different group that is redoing the property, but keeping some of the historic pieces of it. So they're taking some of the old buildings, like the historic hospital, and turning that into hotel rooms. Don't think big hotel chains, like tiny boutique, true to the space, true to the history. And if you do go, you will see that there's construction ongoing, but it doesn't bother you while you're there. But let's talk about what's there today, because that's what's important. 5 different plunge pools. All different temperatures, all different healing properties. And so we spent time going into each of them, identified our favorite one, and then posted up there for most of the day. Also on the property is a cold plunge at a very chilling 40 degrees and a hot tub, a Nordic barrel sauna, outdoor showers, lockers, indoor showers, changing areas, beautiful bathrooms, and an on-premise restaurant that consistently has the smell of delicious pizza because they have a wood fire pizza oven. And last but not least, there's also a spa package that you can purchase and go get a massage, whether that's a couples massage, a single massage, just a chair massage. They've got it all. Ottine Mineral Springs is truly a wellness girly's dream come true. I cannot wait to go back. Cooper and I loved it. This is a place we will absolutely bring our friends when they come to visit that are obsessed with wellness as well, i.e., hi mom, we're going and having a girls trip next time you come down. I cannot wait. Now, when you get to Ottine and you're in these soaking tubs, they do say try to use mineral-based sunscreen, please no oil-based sunscreens. Well, I didn't know that, and so I traveled with oil-based sunscreens, and I was trying to be conscientious, so I didn't put any sunscreen on, and I got fucking zapped. I have a sunburn on my back that is quite painful, and Cooper is having to put aloe on it like 5 times a day. But that sun was most detrimental to my energy. After about 5 hours at Ottine, I looked at Coop and I said, I think it's time to go. I'm getting really tired. So we headed back home, got all cozy, finished watching our TV series that we've been binging. And when I woke up Sunday, I was like, ooh, zombie mode today. But I thought, I think I'll be okay. And I woke up Sunday weirdly with a lot of energy. So I got up. Cooper and I did some grocery shopping, some tidying of the house. We did some yard work, and then 3 p.m. hit, and I realized, oh no, I have seriously fucked up, and I am dead. So dead. By 9 p.m. that night, I was silently crying in our bed, watching our TV show. Cooper was just petting my hair. I think it's going to be okay. I knew it was going to be okay, but I had the aha moment of, I think I have to put boundaries to myself around having fun and also around better management of the allocation of my spoons and energy going forward. Now, good news for me, I think, is that I have IVIG this week. So I have built-in forced rest. I cannot overdo it because I don't have the time, and I get 50 milligrams of IV Benadryl every single day this week, so I will not have the energy also to do anything besides rest, which I'm currently disproving because yesterday I did the coffee area cleanup and today I'm recording a podcast, so I don't know what's wrong with me. There's a sickness in my body beyond chronically ill. beyond chronic illness. But you know what? Sometimes you just don't question it. You just run with it and you see where it's going to take you. And if it takes you out, it takes you out. We've got our toolbox. We know how to get back up. Speaking of which, I should tell you guys some of the things I'm doing to keep myself in check and rest. First and foremost is I'm spending at least 2 hours every single day on my PEMF mat by Higher Dose. That thing fucking rocks. I love it. It makes me feel significantly better from an energy standpoint, from a pain standpoint, and it definitely helps with sleep. That is probably my number one wellness tool pick at this time. I have a discount code, so check the description or shoot me a DM on Instagram. It's Alexandra for 15% off. Second thing that I'm doing is I'm hyperhydrating. When I have IVIG, I have to get a ton of antihistamines because I typically react to things, and all of those things dehydrate you and can cause constipation. So increasing my water intake even more than usual, and also eating some more fiber so that I can hopefully beat the constipation that's already started. The third thing that I'm doing to help with resting this week is I'm trying to have better screen time management. If I get into bed and I am scrolling on my phone, I'm going to stay up late because I have that blue light hitting my brain and the melatonin is not getting turned on. So what I've been doing is I've been doing my paint by numbers. It's so relaxing. It calms me down. It gets me off my phone. Even if I have the TV on the background, I have my contacts out. I can't see that far really. So I'm more of like listening to the TV show and then I'm painting. And that's been very pleasant, and I've been getting pretty good sleep while doing so, so shout out to that. And 4, I am trying to keep myself accountable to the boundaries. This is a heavy medical week. It's also a heavy recovery week from the last 2 weeks. So work is at a bare bones minimum. I, thank God, batched a little bit of content to use this week so I don't have to put so much pressure on myself to create something new every single day. One of my little chronic illness girly hacks is that I have a library of content and content ideas that I think through and I can use during weeks like this where maybe my brain space and brain capacity and creativity is not as at the forefront or as high as it usually is. And last but not least is I am leaning on Cooper. Sweet Saint Cooper loves to take care of me. Thank God that is one of his love languages. I'm trying to not have such a thick head about doing it on my own, trying to be Little Miss Independent. I can do that other weeks. IVIG week is the week that I am allowed to be taken care of like a little baby. Cooper loves it. Secretly down deep, I also love it. So I'm trying to be good about that this week. And then my sweet friend Chandler is actually going to help out with driving this week to help get me to IVIG because I cannot drive myself for a plethora of reasons. One of them of which is IV Benadryl. Nobody should drive any kind of vehicle after getting IV Benadryl. And speaking of which, my brain is onto half of a brain cell because of IV Benadryl, because of IVIG. So let's get this thing wrapped up and let's talk about my one brain cell show and call it a day. As I said at the top of the episode, I think I'm getting into a much more stable mental health space. My anxiety and depression feels a wee bit more in check. So we aren't just watching comedies anymore. We are watching the full spectrum of shows. So my one brain cell shows maybe aren't just one brain cell at this point in life. Maybe they're a bit two brain cell, meaning they have more plot. You have to pay attention a little bit more than my other suggestions, but they are so entertaining that it's easy to get locked in and low energy to get locked in. Now, the one for this week is one we binged, I think, in 3 days. Yeah, it was pretty fast. It's on Apple TV, and it's called Neighbors and Friends. I'm pretty sure it's called Neighbors and Friends. It's the one that John Hamm is in and Olivia Munn, and it is so good. Background of the show is that it's this very wealthy investment banker who loses everything and then turns to petty crime. And it's this whole story of this new chapter in his life. Fascinating. Why I loved it is because it was, 1, a bit of a social commentary, and 2, gave me a bit of a flashback to my old investment banking days and the culture that I was living in, and 3, amazing cast. Now let's talk about the social commentary for just a second because I thought it was super interesting. What it highlights is that when you have enough means to buy anything you could ever want, there's a lack of want in your life. There starts to become this abyss where you can't find joy or dopamine hits from very many things anymore. And when I was working in investment banking, I noticed a lot of my older colleagues, like managing directors and whatnot, totally were in were the epitome of that. They spent their money like it was falling out of a tree, and then they would work so fucking hard to be able to keep up with that lifestyle. And I could tell, and a lot of those managing directors would stay late in the office at night. There was no need for them to do that. They didn't want to go home. There was a lack of joy, a lack of connection, a lack of normal values, I would say, in the office I was in. It was a really, really bizarre time in my life, but this show, I think, made me see that chapter in a different way, where it was more from a bird's eye view and less in the weeds of it, which maybe was good for the trauma that I picked up from working in banking. So I know I've given you guys two brain cell shows, but don't worry, next week I'll go back to one brain cell show because it's IVIG week, baby, and this brain cannot keep up with anything that has a deep plot line. I need simple, I need easy. I'm checking out the new Bravo show that's about the housewives' kids, so I'll report back on that. And I also have been listening, or I guess watching, a couple different podcasts that I would love to tell you guys about that I'm loving. One of them is, nope, that's for next week. And on that note, it is time for me to shut down my computer and rest, aka I just really want to go do paint by numbers and maybe look for some lizards outside. But I love you guys immensely. Thank you for hanging out with me every week. Thank you for getting me through that rough chapter I was just in. And here's to enjoying life within reason so that we can continue to enjoy life. Happy Monday or whatever day you're listening to this on, and I'll see you next week. Love you. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of Calling in Sick. As a reminder, I would love for y'all to like, follow, subscribe, save, share with a friend, do all of the things. It truly, truly helps grow this community, and it helps these episodes reach the people that need them the most, whether that's for an educational piece, to have a little laugh, or to not feel so alone. As a reminder, Calling in Sick sits on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, and anywhere else where you can find your listens. From the bottom of my heart, I absolutely love you guys. Thank you so much for calling in sick with me every Monday. It's been an honor and a pleasure so far, and I can't wait to continue. I can't wait to continue building this community with y'all. Love you.